Yvette introduced legislation about 14 months ago to make Title 42 be required to be enforced. We filed a discharge petition a year ago. Now we're up to, I think, around 210 signatures. Virtually every Republican has signed that discharge petition to force a vote on the floor of the House to require Title 42 to be used, but not one of our Democratic colleagues has joined to sign that discharge petition. You might want to ask why. That's one of the things I don't want to ask our friends in the media, to ask our Democratic colleagues why. Ask them if it's okay that 500,000 people came into the United States last year that were known gotaways, or that 700,000 people were released into the United States last year. Ask them if that's okay. Ask them if it's okay that right now in Texas on Interstate 10 or I-35, which runs up along the district I represent, or 281, which comes up out of San Antonio, or I-10 heading into Houston, ask them if it's okay that there's a little girl right now that's going to be taken and put in a stash house in Houston, Texas, because the cartels are moving her for profit to put her into the sex trafficking trade. Ask them if they're okay with that. Because I can tell you in Bernie, Texas, a suburb of San Antonio, we had 9 people in a car last year caught by local law enforcement. The person driving the car was an American citizen employee of the Cartel del Noreste of Los Zetas, and was moving those people, 8 people in that car, to a stash house in Houston to put them into the sex and labor trafficking trade. One of the boys had paid $4,000 to go pick grapes in California. We get dozens of these stories every single day. We asked Brandon Judd, we asked our friends at the Border Patrol Unit, is this an invasion? And he didn't even hesitate to say it's an invasion. The amount of violence right now going on in warring cartels, where they're making the level of money that John referenced, the hundreds of millions of dollars, they're moving human beings for profit. Fentanyl into our communities. People dying in suburbs all across America, taking Xanax laced with fentanyl. In Austin, Texas, University of Texas football, right? Sam Ellinger, Jake Ellinger. Jake Ellinger died taking Xanax laced with fentanyl. This is happening in our communities across the 100,000 people across the country last year died from from fentanyl and opioid overdoses. In the 80s, we were upset about 10,000 dying from cocaine overdoses. Think about that. That's the result of these open borders. Ask Democrats if they're okay with all of that. That's the question I hope you'll ask them, and I'll turn it over to my friend Tony Gonzalez from Texas.
And I'd ask, can we afford for this border crisis to continue? Can we afford for Democrats to continue to turn a blind eye? This should be bipartisan. Everybody should want a stable, secure border. It shouldn't take Leader McCarthy traveling down there last year to bring issue to it, or traveling down again here soon to bring issue to it. You know, this year alone, there's been over 7,000 special interest aliens that have been apprehended on the southern border. That's an issue. Terrorism doesn't have a face. When terrorists try to kill Americans, they don't care who you voted for. They don't care the color of your skin. They don't care how much money you have in your pocket, who you go to bed with, who you pray to. None of that matters. We should be coming together. The House Intelligence Committee should be focused on securing our southern border. The other piece of this is there's a human piece to this. You know, we had one of the agents mention that there was just a suicide. So in the Border Patrol, we had a Border Patrol agent that just committed suicide a few days ago. There was a human piece to this that is missing. Last week, there was a 32-year-old woman from Guatemala that fell off the wall crossing in Tornillo, Texas, and she was unresponsive. She later died at the hospital. Oh, by the way, she was pregnant. 2 weeks ago, there was a four-year-old little girl that drowned, that was swept away in the river in Del Rio. Title 42 goes away, and these numbers double overnight. There should be nothing partisan about these deaths, whether they're Border Patrol agents, whether they're undocumented, whether they're migrants, doesn't matter. This is something that we should all come together, and it starts here, and I would argue the Republican Party has a plan to do that on day one when we take the majority of the House. With that, I'll turn it over to Debbie Lesko.